Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to the Mindfulness Daily Practice. All right, our topic today, it's one that, as I was thinking about it this morning, I'm like, it's just such a huge topic. And I think where to start and where to end on it can be a bit challenging. So, what's the topic today? The topic today is attachment and letting go. It's let me see if is that what we called it? Yeah, attachment and letting go. And this is a really big topic in that it's a natural thing for us to want to hold on to things, and just part of life, part of existence, is that everything in life is impermanent. Everything changes. Everything eventually passes away, right? And that includes ourselves. And so the things that we want to hold on to, the things that we grasp for, this kind of grasping and trying to hold on to something that's unhold-onable ends up causing us a lot of suffering. And this topic comes up for me today just because of this mindfulness daily practice. This wanting to do this practice every day. I just remember, and the reason that I brought this topic up was, and I guess let me precede that by saying the reason that I tell stories about my experience is so that maybe there's something about your experience that you can relate to. So for me, I know I'm a structured person. When I set out to do something, especially when I add something into my schedule, I'm very cautious about what I add into my schedule because I know myself. I know the way that I like to cling to things. So if something's in my schedule, it's there. It tends to be there for a long time, and in fact, I may even lose rationality as to why I'm doing a particular thing that's in my schedule, right? It becomes just habitual, and I'm doing it because I'm used to doing it, not necessarily for any other good reason. And so when, it was about 3 years ago, I remember it was March of 2020 that I started the Mindfulness Daily Practice. I was broadcasting every day. Started out on Instagram before I realized that Insight Timer had a live stream function. But I do remember that time, it was COVID and everything, right? And before I started that first one, I really had to think to myself, is this something you really want to do? Because if it's something that you start doing, I know that it's something that's going to take a lot of effort to stop. That this is something that once I have momentum on it, I'm going to want to continue doing it for a long time. And so, and that you see that happened. And I look at my own, my own interaction with this daily practice, right? I see the same faces. I've, over these last few years, I've built relationships with a lot of you. Even if it's just through reading the chat, and so even like making it much later than 5:10 in the morning is challenging because I worry that I'll alienate some of the people who are coming in from Europe, because I know it's late at night there, and I do appreciate having you. And so, what is there another regular time that I can do this practice? And I think the excuse that I often use is that, things aren't as repeatable as at 5:10 in the morning. At 5:10 in the morning, I know that I'm going to be here by myself, that there's nobody else in my house that's going to be up to disturb me, but I think it really does come down to that attachment of wanting to serve the same people and wanting to be here for you to help in your practice, right? To help, some attachment to that as well. So, so seeing this is just an example, and just seeing as well as I started thinking about scaling back to 3 days a week instead of 6 days a week, right? That the challenge that came up for that. And again, this self, this thinking that I'm so important, right? I think a lot of times we all think that sometimes we are the star of our own movies. We want to feel important. We want to feel like we're helpful. And so, what portion of your identity is attached to the things that you're attached to? So, this is I think it's a really good topic, and it does go and show how much suffering can come from being attached to something, especially these things that are not graspable. It's like trying to grab a handful of water. You find that very quickly that water gets out of your hand. All things are impermanent. And I think one of the great examples of impermanence is the breath, right? Is that, as we do our mindfulness practice, you'll find that every inhale has to be preceded by an exhale. And if you don't exhale, it's the oxygen, right? It's the oxygen in the air that gives us life. And you want to hold on. You want to hold on to that breath. You want to hold your breath. You find that, you'll suffocate pretty quickly. That you have to let go. That you let go, exhale, and that makes space for the next inhalation. And one of the teachers who has had a relatively big impact on me is Mark Lesser. And Mark used to be the CEO of Search Inside Yourself Institute, the Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute. And Mark taught my original Search Inside Yourself class when I was a student of Search Inside Yourself. And I've just followed him and followed his journey ever since he left Search Inside Yourself. And most recently, he just published something about, he has a new book out anyway, but he also just published something about transitions and talked about his own transition, about the pain of leaving Search Inside Yourself, which was really, Mark was instrumental in the creation of that program, and just talked about the different phases of transition, of the hurt and the anger and the grief that comes with that first step of letting go of whatever it is that we're trying to let go of. The sadness that comes with that, and then the emptiness that follows that, and the kind of depression that may follow, as well as the thing that you've let go of is gone. But the thing that you're waiting for, the ending has happened, yet the new beginning hasn't started yet. And I think that's what's really, really precious about this time, is this time of transition, of exhalation, right? At the end of the exhalation, before the next inhalation starts, there's a little gap. There's a little time when your diaphragm is transitioning from the exhale to the inhale. And this can be a time of crisis, a time of not knowing what's going on. But as that next inhale comes, right, there's more life, more oxygen, more amazingness that can happen. And for Mark, that this is the next stage in his life. Started writing more books, and started his podcast, and he started, he had a lot of different things. And as I look back at my own life and my own transitions, you can't have space for what's coming next if you can't first let go of the thing that it's already in your life, right? You've got to let go, and you've got to breathe out. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to breathe in again. So, all right. Thanks everybody for being here. Let's do a mindfulness of breathing practice today. So in this spirit of inhaling and exhaling, and noticing the potential attachment we may have to each breath, let's go ahead and get comfortable. So I would encourage you to sit up straight and tall, bring your back away from your backrest, if you're sitting on a chair or a sofa. If you're sitting on the floor, like I am, you can place a cushion underneath your buttocks to raise up your hips slightly higher than your knees, which will help to sustain this posture for a bit longer, let you be a bit more comfortable. So maybe rolling the shoulders a few times, moving the head around to help encourage a little bit of relaxation in the shoulders and neck, areas which for some of us hold tension. When you're ready, dropping into stillness, the head, crown of the head towards the ceiling, the chin parallel to the floor. And noticing your face, is your face relaxed? Seeing if you can let go of whatever tension may be there, if you notice tension in your eyebrows, or in your temples, or in the muscles around your eyes, or in your jaw. See if you can let your lips close, your teeth slightly parted, so that there's no clenching of the teeth. Let's take a few deep breaths together. So at the end of your next exhale, let's begin inhaling for a count of 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now letting go of control of the breath and allowing your body to breathe you. So your body, in its wisdom, knows how to breathe. It doesn't need your help, doesn't need your intervention. Can you simply watch your breath? Not allowing a single breath to go by without your awareness of it. Completely aware as you breathe in. Completely aware as you breathe out. And how am I aware of my breath? I can notice these little physical cues in my body that let me know that I'm breathing. Certain parts of the body expanding as air comes into the body. The same parts releasing and contracting. The lungs are like two little balloons that inflate as we breathe in, needing more space inside the body, and deflate as we breathe out. So just noticing how the shape of the body changes with each breath, and using those feelings, those sensations, your body's natural ability to communicate to you what's happening in each and every moment. Just feeling those signals of expansion on the in-breath, contraction on the out-breath. And if you really tune in to all of the subtleties of the breath, you may notice some difference in feelings inside the body as you're inhaling versus as you're exhaling. Mindfulness practice is, after all, a model of life, albeit a simple model. Can you feel what it's like to let go? Letting go of the attachment to this moment or to this thought. Anytime you're distracted, you realize you've stopped paying attention to the breath. There's a moment of letting go as we do our best to release that thought and come back to observing the breath. After each inhale comes an exhale. And so just like we observe the difference between the inhalation and the exhalation, if you find yourself wandering, if you find yourself thinking about something, what does it feel like to let go of that thought and return to the breath? What is the initial reaction of the mind, of the emotions, in that very moment? So use these distractions as an opportunity to learn about yourself, to learn about what it's like to let go of something small, let go of a thought, come back to your intended purpose, to be mindful, to focus on sensations in this moment. Focus on the breath. Hopefully today's practice has given you a little opportunity to learn about yourself, and hopefully you'll continue practicing so you'll keep having this opportunity to learn about yourself. Sometimes the learnings are small and hard to interpret, so keep coming back, keep practicing regularly, and start to see what your mindfulness practice has in store for you. So I'll close practice with 3 rings of the bell. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for sharing this space and this time with me and with everybody else. how did practice go today? And I'd love to hear any examples. And I'm sure everybody else in the chat would. If you have some examples of things that you've needed to let go of recently, or what new transitions life has had in store for you, I'd love to check it out. And kind of reminds me of the parable of the trapeze. So I think we should continue going on this topic for a little while. So next time we meet, which will be on Tuesday. Oh, actually, no, next time we meet is Saturday morning for about 1 hour practice. But the next time I have some kind of little lesson like this will be on Tuesday, where we can talk a bit about the parable of the trapeze and about letting go and about what life's transitions are like. So I think this is a really powerful topic. I remember in my own practice thinking, I'm really good at letting go. There's not much in my life that I need to let go of, It's I think that was kind of that was a foolish thought that went out to the universe, and the universe goes, oh, you know what? I think it's time to teach Ryan about letting go. And so I had a few really hard lessons kind of right after that showed up in my practice. And so, maybe some coincidence. I'm happy I'm on the other side of that one, though. It's like, woo, that was there's every once in a while we get some really, really tough transitions in life. Okay, I'm going to have a look at the chat here. It's great to see you all who are here. I mean, what's the solution, right? I see Marie says, well, then it becomes hard to lose. So what's the solution? I guess it depends on who you ask. I just remember in my first retreat, I was at a monastery kind of environment in Thailand. And the solution there is, well, just don't do anything in your life that causes attachment. That's a good question, right? I mean, and I suppose if you're a Buddhist, like that resonates with you. I also kind of ask myself, well, if you don't do anything that causes attachment at all, then what's life? So and I suppose that's a question that maybe if somebody has an answer for that, you can feel free to write that in the circle or write it in the chat here. And Jean says, yeah, I've been working through the very fluid steps of grief. Yeah, that's tough. Grief is, grief in all of its forms, really challenging to go through. Tina said, someone said life is a series of holding on and letting go. Yeah, Parable of the Trapeze incoming on Tuesday. Lydia says, to see the sun or the moon moving in times of the year. Yeah, there you go. And that gives me maybe we should do a mountain meditation again. That's another really good one. That's one that I rarely do. To say I probably do mountain meditation once, like twice a year. So that can be maybe our next hour practice after this. This Saturday is another body scan. Yeah, and Jean reminds me, I've moved 3 times in 1 year, and that is a lot of transition. Yeah, especially moving to a new country. Although I have to say, moving from Hong Kong to Singapore, now that I'm here, I go, well, my biggest transition one of my biggest transitions was moving from Michigan to Western China. That's like, wow, that's different. That's really different, especially the place where nobody speaks English. Outside of my office, right? There's no English, so it's really that's a big transition too. But yeah, 3 moves. Moving isn't very. I don't know about you all, but moving's not super fun for me. Just moving to a different country has its share of challenges. Even just moving across the street or moving down the street can be difficult too. I feel like I'm still not fully moved in. I've got like a to-do list. I've still a bunch of things I want to get organized. Bev says, I'm struggling to let go of a failed business. I know I need to do the paperwork to close it down and to move on to the next chapter of my life, but I'm not ready to let it go, even though I need it to be over. Thanks, Bev. It really resonates with me, too. Barbara shares, it's one of the first nice weather days here in Seattle, and I find myself letting go of winter, grieving the loss, and welcoming the spring. Thank you, Barbara, for sharing. Sybil says, I managed to stay with the breath the whole time, and I started to wonder when the bell would ring. Amazing. Thanks, Sybil, for sharing. Yeah, bring your handkerchiefs if you've never heard the parable, says Jean. I know, I have a hard time getting through that without tearing up myself. Janice says, I'm working on letting go of walking on eggshells with regards to my husband. Thanks, Janice, for sharing. Oh, the name of Mark Lesser. Here, I'll write it in the chat. The name of one of my mentors. I had the privilege of having dinner with him after that Search Inside Yourself session was over. So he's, I really I feel that Mark's work's really, it just feels really practical. I think that's one of the reasons I like what, Mark's stuff. Thanks, Barbara, for sharing this small distraction. All right. I've got so much more that I can talk about. I just love this topic of letting go. But my kids have to go to school. I've got to wake them up, so it's time to let go of today's practice. So join me, if you like, in sending some well wishes to yourself and some well wishes to everybody who's here today. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening right now, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May sentient life all across the world and around the universe, including those who have not yet been born, I wish all beings be happy and peaceful. Thank you, everyone. So tune in Saturday morning for the long body scan with a little bit of intro, and then we'll come back on next. Not next Tuesday. I'm in Hong Kong. I'm sorry, I forgot. So anyway, I'll keep you posted. Come back on Saturday. I'll let you know what the schedule is. Bye-bye.